Hello everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the Powerscaling analysis series where we power scale characters. First up, we have Infinity Virus. Now, Infinity Virus is a True Godverse character from the infamous True Godverse. It's known for having stupidly overpowered characters with zero story, but as I myself have been in the community for about half a year, I'd say it's definitely interesting. Not all power scaling, but it's definitely interesting. So, let's get into the feats, shall we? So, the first feat he performed in the series is where he killed a being who is notorious for destroying other verses. And other verses, by their definitions right here, there are multiple layers to it, each being a higher dimensional planes. As it says in this description, it's parallel to Alpha 2, the next Alpha 3, then Alpha 4, continuing on to an uncountably infinite number of layers. Each layer adds to the number of dimensions, transcending the last layer, extending into an uncountably infinite number of layers. So that means each layer is infinitely better than the last, which sets up for a hierarchy that is Outerversal in Versus Battle Wiki and Low Outer in CSAP. Now, of course, it doesn't specify which part of the Otherverse, since there's two parts, which is the Lesser and Greater Otherverse. The lesser one, which I just explained, has the uncountably infinite number of alpha dimensions, each being better than the last layer. And the greater Otherverse is basically infinitely superior to its lesser version. So that means the greater Otherverse would technically scale higher than the lesser Otherverse, therefore putting him more layers into outer, possibly high outer, but that's debatable. In Chapter 3, where he fights Uwildy, which I will power skill Uwildy in a later video in this series. In Chapter 3, where Uwildy fights Infinity Virus, or Infinity Virus fights Uwildy, whatever you put it, they both agreed that they were somewhat on the same level of power, meaning technically any feats that Uwildy can perform currently, Infinity Virus could also perform. So that's also a valid scale, but I won't be going too deep into that. Now, the next impressive feat of Infinity Virus is that he destroyed the Celestial Sea, and the Celestial Sea transcends both over the Overvoid, Godscape, and the Atmosphere, and the Overvoid and Godsphere. I will not be going much into them in this video since their scaling is pretty irrelevant, and when I looked at their descriptions, they didn't really make Infinity Virus scale any higher. So now with the AP scaling done, let's get into the speed scaling, shall we? So the first feat is that he outsped Magno, who is the god of speed, and Magno could move so fast that just by his sheer speed, he broke through space-time, meaning immeasurable speed by Versus Battle Wiki standards, and he also is superior to, or at least equal to, Uwildy, as said before, meaning any speed feats that Uwildy performed, Infinity Virus should be equal to, and Uwildy also vastly outsped Magno, like I said before, has immeasurable speed, meaning Infinity Virus has a solid structure for immeasurable speed. Now, as for the abilities, he has a ton of listed abilities. It would take me way too long to explain all of the abilities separately, meaning I'll just throw all the abilities on screen right here if you want to read them. Alright, that's enough. That should be enough time. That is pretty much all the scaling for Infinity Virus. See you in the next one.